Hey, this is Alex Vasco with All For Him Racing Videos, and you're listening to Cash on the Hood podcast. When you're done listening, please go over to YouTube and check out all the number 4 Him Racing videos for all your derby action needs.
Hey, yo, it's Jason Sauer right here with Cash on the Hood, filming on the OBS spot, the ops spot, right here at the home studio, Most Wanted Fine Art. I'm on the couch. I'm right here, got the painting behind me, and our main man, Brian Cottington, fresh from Los Angeles, where he was the superstar of podcasting and YouTube consulting. This man from the Cinema Psycho show is running the decks, and without him, I don't have a podcast. So thanks, buddy. Thanks for getting hooked up with the new camera. So if you're watching this on YouTube, salute to OBS bot there, ops bot. Thank you for Tommy and TY and JR for getting the studio set up. So, all right, check it out. I am going to tell a story about the Houston Art Car Parade, and it's a 12-year journey for us to get there. All right. Quick shout out to All For Him Racing, sponsor here of the podcast. So if you're just listening, please like, share, subscribe. Again, without you, I'll never win the company Christmas party against Steven Sickles. So whoever reaches 100,000 downloads first has to sponsor the company Christmas party. And I'm hoping you guys help me reach that level, and Steven Sickles has to come to my party. Haha. So thank you for everyone like, share, subscribe. All right, let's get started. All right, pardon me. Didn't mean to do that. 13 years ago is when we started going on tour. Now, as an artist, I've always had a demolition derby car on my back of my trailer, and that I took to art shows, art openings as part of my identity. So when I met my wife, Nina, she and I realized that the building on Penn Avenue wasn't generating the foot traffic, and I wasn't creating enough of a core of people who are interested in the sculpture and fine art derby that I'm promoting. So we decided to take a month off of life and go on tour, on a southern tour where we took a T-top 77 Oldsmobile, I think, around America. And we took it to art openings, museums, bars, anywhere that had a stage where I could show off this car. So our first stop was in St. Louis. That went well. That was the night where I realized I couldn't do public speaking because they're like, let us introduce your featured artist from the night from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the problem was I had to follow the Southern Baptist deputy mayor, who was very good at public speaking. I opened with a joke about Star Wars that fell flat and essentially said, thank you for having me. And my wife, very arms crossed in the back of the room, like, we have got some work to do. So we've been working on public speaking ever since. So next stop on the tour was the Art Car Museum in Houston, Texas. So this is where I'm getting to this moment. We happen to have a painting in the trunk of the car, Nina and I did, and it was a bit of an assemblage. And it was a story of, young love. It was a nice painting. And it was in the trunk of the car because we just had the art show in St. Louis, but we were showing the car and just having the painting in the trunk. Well, the Art Car Museum's like, can we please show that painting? We'll ship it back to you. And I'm like, oh, that's very generous because it's a big painting and it's assemblage. There's metal on it. So I'm assuming this thing's going to cost $100+ just to mail it back. And I'm thinking to myself, what generous and kind people. And I made a promise to myself that I would bring our son Rowdy back when he could enjoy it the most, of having the Pittsburgh Art Car at the Houston Art Car Parade. So we waited 12 full years, and it was a lot of patience. But I'm very thankful that the patience turned into a feature spot for my sculpture, and we got to go to the Houston Art Car Parade. Yes. So we had to choose what car we wanted, and I knew that with Art Basel coming up and having an opportunity at the Museum of Graffiti and the Wynwood Mural Fest, that I needed to have a car that we could roll into the Houston Art Car Parade that had some sort of movement, some momentum behind it, something to make it a museum piece. So we got the car full of stickers at the Sticker Bomber event there in Miami. But while I was doing all that, I realized I wanted to take 10 people with me in this parade. So I knew I was going to need a station wagon. And station wagons are quintessential demolition derby cars. And I knew I wanted to get a Mopar station wagon because that is a homage, a callback to the Mopar guys from yesteryear who love these giant cars. So I was like, all right, I wanted a 440 big block because I knew I was going to have open headers. I knew it was going to be very loud, and I wanted to just show off. Because at art openings my whole life, if the car runs that I have out front, we'll go outside and rev her up and try to blow it up. And it's always been a staple of my art career, which is taking a car to mechanical failure for the glory of the crowd. And I got to experience that in Houston. I don't know what it's like to catch a touchdown pass in Heinz Field for the home team, but I'm telling you what, the crowd, 250,000 people were in that 1 mile stretch. And I broke down, and after a few moments of I'm going to tell the story in great detail. After a few moments of trying to get that car started, the car starts up, and I start entering the parade again. And at that moment was the largest, greatest, most loud cheer of my derby art career of my entire life. And my first thought was, man, I want all my friends to experience this. This is the greatest moment. 10 people in the car, everybody screaming. I didn't realize there was people on the overpass above us, but I could hear them over my loud motor. It was the greatest moment. I could probably cry thinking about how many years we waited to make this moment happen. So I've been daydreaming about a long time, 12 years, thinking about how are we going to show up at the greatest art car parade in Houston. So I called my friend Josh Decker, and I said, Decker, you helped me out years ago when Miami gave me a chance, and we got a nice car out of North Carolina from Fur. I said, I need a Chrysler station wagon. Help me find one. So we found one in North Carolina. I messaged the guy. He's like, sold to you. I'm like, great. I'll be there in 3 days because I was already leaving with my wife, Nina, to go down to North Carolina. Anyway, I'm like, we'll get this car. Someone messages me 20 minutes later on the internet. Someone already showed up truck and trailer and got that wagon. I was like, no. So Decker's like, all right, I know where there's one more, but it's the one I want, and I don't want you to get it, but I'm willing to show it to you. But you have to make the 16-hour drive to Bangor, Maine, to Mike Gilbert's house. I'm like, all right. And Mike Gilbert's like, listen, I'll build you a Pathfinder demolition derby car if you make your way up to Maine. And I'm like, all right. So this is a good deal. I go up to Maine. I got the wreck of Pathfinder in most wanted fine art class. Got second place. I'm letting you know, Nissan Pathfinder put a lot of damage on a minivan. It was awesome. But that weekend is when I saw this green station wagon sitting in the far backwoods in Maine. And I was like, oh, I got to have it. What can I do to trade you? How many paint jobs can I give you? What can I do, Mike Gilbert, to trade you for this car and get it in my life? And he is so generous, and we worked out a deal. And I'm like, okay, I need this car before Thanksgiving because we need to. He's like, I promise it runs. I'm like, okay. It's been in the woods for 7 years. I'm sure it doesn't run. So it took forever because his loader was down, but in Maine it's his loader. His loader was down, and I couldn't get the car out. And I never got the car until a week before we had to go to Miami. So I'm like, oh God. I'm going to Miami with a piece of junk that's never going to start and get off the trailer. And I have the pressure of having to drive through traffic because we got to go to the museum. So I'm like, pressure's on with this car. Luckily, I leave it at Decker's house, or it gets dropped off at Decker's house. Decker puts in a few weekends of work on it and gets it to start and stop off the trailer. And I'm like, yes. We get it to Miami, and I get it off the trailer. And this car's running like crap because it needs a new carburetor. Turns out it needs a starter, so I can't let it stall because it won't restart. So my first fun experience is I have to back this car through 4 lanes of traffic, over a median, over a sidewalk, and into the parking spot for the promoter in Miami because that's where they want it to be for the weekend. So that car starts up, and I'm like, as soon as I get off this ramp, I need my buddy. I'm like, tell me when. I'm like, because we're going to blast off this trailer as soon as this car starts. I jump the curb. The ass end jumps up in the air. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And I jump that median. I'm like, finish 2 more lanes of traffic, blast up over the sidewalk there. There's a poor girl running a Smart Water bottle table at this space, and she is in the lane of me coming in hot. I stopped the car. Thank God it's still holding an idle. We get the girl out of the way. I only have half the car on the sidewalk, so we finish ripping that car up there. So it sits for a day. And so this is our first moment with the car. Next moment with the car is now it won't start. It's in Miami. It won't start. I end up towing it to the Museum of Graffiti. At that night, after the Museum of Graffiti, it gets covered in stickers. Great, wonderful night. The car starts. I'm like, yes. So I limped this car through traffic, but they've closed off all the lanes to get to my parking spot. So now I have to take the car through downtown Wynwood, right down the main drag. So this is my first parade with this car. I'm like, hell yeah, first parade with this car. But it's not running worth a shit. So I am sweating in the Miami heat. Just sweating like, oh my God, how can I push this giant heavy car? And I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going to ruin everybody's night. But people are cheering me on and clapping. They're like, hell yeah, nice car. So I'm getting my first taste of what it's like to be in this car, and I love it. Thankfully, I plead my case to a police officer who opens a barricade for me, and I'm able to drive to the trailer and get it on there. So I'm like, phew. Now the next thing for the cars, it's Sharon Dawn music video. So I take it to Steven Sickles' house, and I'm like, Steven Sickles, it's got to get on and off the trailer. And Brian knows this place. It's in Monessen, the George A. Romero Film Studio, right next to the makeup guy Savini. Okay, so in Monessen, there's these film studios. So they have arranged it for me for this car to be on their giant green screen. I'm like, heck yeah, music video. So, of course, we get Moody, who you've seen in all of our paintings, and I get her ready for the music video. So now is the next big moment for this car. And now this car has headers. And Brian knows this space. I have to start the car, go against 2 lanes of traffic, and drive in literally through the front door, and then limp this car around into a green screen. And I'm like, all right, no pressure. But we haven't rebuilt the carburetor yet, so now we still have a car that's barely limping on and off the trailer, and it makes a ton of smoke. And I'm like, yes. So we haven't repaired it, but we got enough. We get it in there. I don't embarrass myself. Thank you, George A. Romero, for letting me bring my derby car onto your green screen. If you're familiar with George A. Romero, he is the creator of Dawn of the Dead, and Brian's shaking his head, yes. So the horror movie genre is something that was created here in Pittsburgh. And so anytime we get to participate in that genre, it's always a great, something to be held in high esteem on your resume. So I thought, wow, this is great. We're having a car there. So you'll see the music video coming out later this summer. You'll see Moody on the car. So we get it home. It barely got back on the trailer. So I have nothing but feelings in my heart about how this car and what it's going to do. And I know that there's 250,000 people. I know I got to go to San Francisco the week before for Track Shot Live. And so this car has to be ready 3 weeks ahead of time. And we get it to the best way we can do. I take it to Smith Metalworks up in Mercer, PA. And I'm like, please help me finish this thing off. So we put a new ignition system in it. The gas tank's in it. We lower it 5 inches. We make the car as sweet as I possibly can for a Western Appalachia artist. And I love it. All right, so now we load up the car and we're heading to Houston. No pressure. I've been dreaming about it for 12 years. And I know my wife does not like Texas heat. And I know I have a car with no air conditioning. And I know all these things that are going to be set up against me. But I guess I want everyone to suffer for my art. And I love them for it. And I love my family for doing it. We get an Airbnb with a pool. And I'm like, all right, this pool is their reward if they can suffer through all my art car activities. So we drive. It's 24 hours to get there to Houston. I start at 4 in the morning. I took a nap. It's now, my call time is to be there with my sculpture in my car at noon on a Thursday. I'm there. It's 10 in the morning. I'm about to high five everybody. I'm like, we are doing it. We did it. So I know this. I'm going to recall this feeling again later that I should not celebrate before I actually finished the actual project, because 20 minutes from Houston, I pick up a giant piece of steel in the best tire I have on the truck, and the tire light indicator on the dash is letting me know how fast the air pressure is dropping while I'm towing a very heavy trailer. I'm like, oh no, not 20 minutes away, because I don't have a CRV, so you just can't tire on and off in 20 minutes and back on the highway. This is a giant 8-lug Super Duty truck, and thankfully my wife was on top of it, and she found a discount tire within 300 yards of the exit that I was blasting off, just begging for any station I could find air and just limp my way to. So I didn't want to have to jack up the truck with a trailer and pull all that, walk the thing down the highway. I don't even know what I was going to have to do. I pull into there. Thank God they had a tire. But as everyone knows, when you buy a tire on the highway, they're $500. I'm like, ouch. I'm like, but whatever. We're here. Get the tire on. I pull up. I'm only 20 minutes late. They love it. I get the sculpture off the truck. Now it's time to get the car off the trailer. I finally made it to Houston. Now, there's a couple people in the parking lot who know already, because they're art car followers, who know what I've brought. And they all have their lunch, and they're all sitting there waiting for me to take the tape off the headers, because they know exactly what's going to happen is I'm going to start this very, very loud car and back it through the parking lot. And so it's my friends from Ohio. And they are next to me in the parade, so they know what I've brought. And so at the art car parade, you're assigned a handler. Right from the beginning, there's someone who walks with you, rides a bike with you, has a car near you, and make sure you're going where you need to go. It's a very well-organized event. So I light this car up, take it off the trailer, and my handler is walking me around the parade grounds and getting me right to my spot. Gets me in the perfect spot. And at that moment, I go ahead and just light off on that motor and let the whole parade grounds know that I am in the space and we are here and ready for ramming speed. I watch my handler bristle, clutch her pearls, look at me and go, "Do you have to do that?" And I'm like, "Oh no. Oh no. You're going to have a long weekend." Oh no. So what this car does, it's much like, there's two things I've realized about hanging out with old men. If you have a shoulder surgery like sling on, every old man at the gas station is going to tell you about their shoulder surgery. All right. Second thing, if you have an open header 440 Chrysler in a parking lot with the hood open and you let that thing light off, oh man, every man off their right out of their wicker chair right over to me. "Oh my God, I had one of those. Does it have the seat in the back?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." Nina's already in the back of the car showing everybody how the back of the seat works, and she's just chilling, loving it, dressed all in pink. Let's stop right here. Brian? Yeah? All right, so we're gonna stop here because I want to keep telling more stories, but like, share, subscribe. I love you guys so much for listening to this art car parade story. So this is that part one is just me getting to Houston. Part two here in 2 weeks will be what it was like to actually do and be a part of the event. It was so awesome. So stick around for this, please. Go check out Brian's Cinema Psycho show. Without Brian, we don't have anything. Libsyn, thank you for hosting my podcast. All for Him Racing, thank you. Kelly-O's Restaurants here in Pittsburgh, thank you for supporting the Most Wanted Fine Art class. Without you guys, I am nothing. Jason Sauer, Cash on the Hood, thank you. Peace out.